Welcome to Math Learning. The virus equation is the average number of people one infected person will infect in a fully susceptible population. The equation is R0 equals beta times C times D. Beta stands for chance of transmission per contact. C equals number of contacts per day. And D equals duration of infection before symptoms in days. Let's say that patient 0 has a disease with a 50% irritability, and the duration of the disease before symptoms show is 7 days. Patient 0 sees 5 people each day for the next 7 days. How many people are likely to get infected? So for this, we will put beta at 0.5, C equaling 5, and D equaling 7 days. So we plug that into the equation. R0 equals 0.5 times 5 times 7, which equals out to 17.5. So in 1 week, patient 0 will infect about 17.5 people. The virus death equation is a very simple equation. You simply take the amount of people infected and the amount of people who died from the infection and multiply it by 100. So, you take amount dead divided by amount infected multiplied by 100 equals how deadly. So, if you have a disease that infected 400 people and 322 of them passed away from the disease, what is the fatality rate of your virus? That is 322 divided by 400 multiplied by 100 equaling 80.5. So your virus has an 80.5% fatality rate. Now, you might be wondering, what do all these equations have in common? Why, I'm glad you asked, my chaton petit. What they all have in common is that they all have some influence in this fucking anime! Yeah, that's right, you depressed creatures. You thought this was a normal math lecture? Nah, this is an anime review, yet again! Of a pretty interesting anime, if I don't say so myself. Now, I'll give you a brief synopsis of the plot, and then we'll just jump right into the rundown of each episode. So let's dive right into this torture session. Anyways, let's get into the rundown. We start in the year 2040, with our boy Rito having just confessed his feelings to his work colleague, Arissa. He did this because today is his last day at the advanced medical college he's at, and he's not transferring. He's been diagnosed with cellular cirrhosis, and unfortunately, there is no cure for it. But thanks to AI, there will be in about, let's say, 5 years. So he's going to throw himself into cryo until then. But he felt like she should know his true feelings before he goes for the big sleep. We then cut to him in a car with his family members, his young sister, Mahiru, and his older brother, Ryu, having some classic family bonding time as they drive to the hospital. They live in the most advanced age of technology humans have ever seen. We're talking advanced food production, communication, transportation, medication, an era where everything is done by machines and AI, leaving humans to do whatever they want. Truly, the utopia we dream for. At the hospital, he gets a final checkup before he's put into cryosleep. After the checkup, he gets to say one last goodbye to his family members. But right before he enters the pod, Arissa bursts through the door to see him off to go to sleep. Rito, in his awestruck state, gives her his necklace for her to hold on to while he's sleeping. Hallmark awe moment. Wait, stop the train awe moment. As the tank fills with cryogenic fluid, he looks at his friends and family one last time as he slowly falls asleep.
Hey, you. You're finally awake.
He wakes up with a stern-looking lady looking over him. He asks what year it is, and she says it's 2045. 5 years. He's been asleep for 5 full years. He goes to his post-cryo medical checkup, and it shows that he's been fully cured of the cellular cirrhosis. Though something does seem to be off to him. He has to see his family, but is whisked away by the stern lady to explain what happened while he was asleep. In a limousine, he is sitting with 2 bodyguards beside him. He feels very apprehensive of the situation he's in. The stern lady introduces herself as Sue Mira, his dedicated attendant. She will be handling any and everything he needs, from his contacts to his needs for the outside world. Still very confused, he asks what actually happened while he was in cryo. Sue then goes on to explain that about a year into his cryosleep, a new type of virus ravaged the world, infecting people via the air and killing them in just 3 days. It's been 4 years since the initial infection, but they still have no cure for it. Over those past 4 years, this virus, called the MK virus, killed half of the human population. With half of the human population dead, there isn't enough people to handle the AI, resulting in a decline in maintaining most of the advanced technologies they have, resulting in famine and disorder worldwide. Rito then, for some reason, jumps out of the car and runs into the decaying street. Why weren't the doors locked? He tries to talk to people on the street, but they just run away or give him strange looks. Everyone keeps looking at him weird. Well, but why? Why? I would also like to say that I like how everyone in like these post-apocalyptic worlds have like cloaks and capes. They all look very nice. We need to bring back like capes as a fashion statement. They're awesome. At that moment, Rito's pattern-recognizing brain recognizes a pattern. He hasn't seen a single man this entire time he's been out. Sue finds him and sees his realization. The MK in MK virus stands for man killer, and as the name tells, it only kills men. And now there are only women left in this world, with a small amount of men remaining, and they're all in cryosleep, except for him. They believe his immunity is due to the cellular cirrhosis and his treatment, though they are still investigating it. There are only 5 other guys like him in the world that are immune to the MK virus, making them the most valuable resource on Earth. And insert title card here. Cut to the medical facility. Rito is watching a video explaining what happened while he was sleeping in a little more detail. In 2040, the MK virus spread across the entire globe in just 3 months. Most nations collapsed into anarchy and riots broke out everywhere. The world governments transferred all of their power to an international union governed by women called the UW, or United Women. That's kind of bland. The few men that were alive were put into cryosleep in hopes of a vaccine being developed in the future. The UW then sent... The UW sent armies all over the world to put down the rioting women, as they should be, and begin to unify the world. They also started to centralize and use the super advanced AIs that they did have left to develop a vaccine, but so far they have nothing. When all hope seemed to be lost for the world, hope was found in Japan. It was found that a man, who they named Number 1 for simplicity's sakes, I guess, who had entered cryosleep to receive a treatment for cellular cirrhosis, was immune to the MK virus. They woke him and found that he was capable of activities in the outside world, whatever the fuck that means. The video ends and Sue says that only a few people know about Rito's existence, and to avoid absurd actions like he did yesterday, for they will only cause chaos. They need Rito and other men to stay alive and remain undamaged so that they can have as many children as possible. Rito still has his doubts about this situation, but Sue points out that they would gain nothing from pranking him. Like, what would even be the purpose of this prank? Anyways, Rito then starts to ask some actually smart questions, like, What about artificial insemination? Oh, if only we thought of that. Oh wait, we did! Apparently children are capable of being born via artificial insemination, but only the female children survive and the male children die within a few days after being born. He then asks about taking the genetic material from the first guy and artificial inseminating using that. They tried that as well when he woke up, but they couldn't get to work and they don't know why. But what they do know is that one of the girls became pregnant via canoodling with number one. Though Rito still doesn't believe any of this shit and wants to go home. Sue answers that by saying they can't let him go home and that his priority should be mating with as many people as possible. He's still not convinced, so Sue brings in someone who can persuade him. His sister. $5 says he fucks his sister, or his sister pushes herself on him. His sister shows him all the people in cryo, one of which is his brother. He can finally realize the gravity of the situation he's in. He then also asks a more pertinent question. Where's Arissa? The sister said that she didn't know and that she's been missing for the better part of 3 years. Sue said that she might have gotten lost in the chaos and the riots that happened years earlier near the beginning of the virus. Rito is in total distraught. Jump cut to a secret meeting between Sue and what I presume to be a UW head. She gives her report on Rito. Apparently his code name is number 2, so he's the second one to wake up. And she tells the UW lady that he so far has refused to mate with anyone. The UW lady tells Sue to remember what her job is and why she's there. And you better get to fucking! Jump cut to Rito as he lays in his bed fairly late at night, contemplating the whole reality he woke up in. He is then rudely interrupted by Sue in a nightgown. It's late at night. His brain isn't properly working at full capacity. Perfect time for seduction. So Sue throws herself at him, trying to seduce him. But he comes back to reality before anything can happen. He can't fuck if the boys can't fuck. Respect. Still not being able to sleep, he realizes that he put a tracker in his necklace. Why does he have a tracker in his necklace? I don't know. In the morning, Sue takes another shot at convincing Rito to mate, saying that he lives in a world where 5 men have 5 billion women. But my boy still stands strong, saying that he's not some animal they can force to mate. He tries to attack the pathos side of him by saying that most of the world is in ruin and a lot of people are poor now. People are starving, hurting, dying. If one of the girls he mates with gets pregnant, they will be able to live comfortably and not have to live out in the slums or in the streets. There's also the chance that the men in cryo will die within a year, since the cryosleep only delays the progression of the disease and not stop it entirely. Rito cracks and says that he'll fuck, under one condition. He gets 1 month to find his girl, Arissa. Sue agrees, but under one condition. Before the month is up, he will spend a night in bed with a girl of her choosing. It's a deal. And that's how the first episode ended. Gotta say, I am very interested in this anime. It was very wonderful. Alright, on to episode 2. We cut to Rito eating fancy. A 4-course French breakfast in a fully modernized kitchen. With full appliances. He's a man who owns 3 dishwashers. Sue notes that even though it's more efficient to use machines to make the meals, it's more appetizing if it's made by a human. You know, it has that sort of a je ne sais quoi. You know, that parlez-vous français? Sort of that je ne sais pas. And appetizing it must be, because she's eaten at least 12 courses. After Sue finishes her food, she mentions to Rito that she will be giving him a personal bodyguard and a nurse for his health and well-being, and they will also be sleeping with him in his bed every night. You know, for his health and well-being. Rito contemplates this as he walks through the facility. He then meets our second main guy, number 1. I don't know if they ever give number 1 a name or not, but we'll see later. Editor note, they do give him a name later. Number 1 is immediately overstepping his boundaries and talking about fucking. The conversation went something like this. Man, I can't believe the reality we live in now. I thought this was some sort of prank or evil experiment like Vault 69, but it's real. We are in paradise, my brother. I banged an artist, a model, a movie star. Man, I love this place. After dealing with whatever that was, Rito takes a nice hot shower to forget everything, but is then interrupted when the power goes out.
What happened? I think we blew a fuse.
When he goes to find the switch, he finds our new character, Ryujoji Akane, or better known as the Alcoholic. I mean, I can kind of understand where she's coming from. If I had to live in this world as a woman, I probably would have turned to alcohol as my new lover as well. Fucking love in a bottle.
What in God's name are you doing? Back off, you crazy bitch!
Please give me huggy wuggies. Ooh woo.
What the fuck are you saying?
Pounces on you.
How could this happen to me? Made my mistakes, got nowhere to run.
Var, X3. What's this? Oh, whoa. Notices your bulge. Let's have a little look-see
I
here.
wish I stayed home and played the new Call of Duty. This is so not cash money!
He wakes up in his bed sometime later with the Alcoholic fast asleep on the couch, and a lolly in his bed. Of course, this wouldn't be an anime without the token lolly character. Her name is Soi Yamada, and Rito assumes that she is the nurse. The Alcoholic wakes up and says that she'll be sleeping in his bed now that everyone is awake. Of course, my boy will not succumb to temptation. Unfortunately, he didn't get a wink of sleep as well. The next day, he visits the animal lab on campus to look for his girlfriend. Sue asks why Rito thinks his girl is still alive. He states that before he was put into cryosleep, he gave Arissa his pendant. Originally, that pendant was given to Rito by his brother as a good luck charm, and that pendant has a tracker in it. I guess Rito wandered off a lot as a child. And since that tracker is still transmitting, then she must still be alive. That's a cope and a half. The Alcoholic then starts to get a little touchy-feely on Rito, telling him to relax after getting all worked up over his revelation. Rito questions whether Akane can be an effective bodyguard while being drunk. Before she could rebuttal, an alarm goes off, and a wild bear appears!
Come on!
Also, before we continue, this thing does not sound like a bear. It sounds like a fucking dragon. Like, the sound design people really couldn't, like, Google bear sounds or something to replace this with. No, they just had to, like, go to, I don't know, stock sounds for wild beasts. I don't know. Anyways, the dragon bear charges them and swipes at the lolly, but Rito saves her at the last second, scratching him instead. Rito tells the others to run, and the Alcoholic tells Sue to do her fucking job. Sue gets up with no soul in her eyes and takes down the bear in 4 seconds. 4 seconds. She then goes back to being normal. Well, fantastic. It's not a nurse. It is, in fact, a child soldier. Also, she's fucking awful at her job. This girl, at the time she saw the bear to the moment it charged them, she had a full 7 seconds to lock in and beat the target. Now, I will say that maybe because of Rito's interference, she didn't get to act as fast, but it is still her job to protect the last man on Earth. You imagine you would, like, at least be, like, very vigilant of your fucking surroundings or something. It's disappointing. Anyways, the dragon bear is eliminated, but Rito is hurt, so the Alcoholic, who is apparently the nurse, comes over, rips off a piece of her shirt, and bandages him. I'm also kind of disappointed in the nurse. I'm surprised she's not carrying a first aid kit with her or something. I mean, she's a nurse. I imagine she would carry at least like a couple boxes of bandages or something. After that endeavor, they go to his girlfriend's lab, which is oddly untouched. And by untouched, I mean she disappeared off the face of the earth. Someone broke into her office and stole her shit on the MK virus, and no one has been in there since. Which doesn't really make much sense to me. I thought they would repurpose the office space at least. While exploring the office, Rito sees a photo on the ground, and we are brought to a flashback. It's not really that important. It shows mostly the motivation of why Rito and Arissa became doctors. They did it to cure her dog of a certain disease. Also, they killed off this dog that we got to know for like 4 seconds. I will never forgive the writers for this. After the flashback, he reflects on the current situation and asks again how many men are in cryo around the world. Sue says the exact number is really unknown, but it's around 1 to 5 million people. Rito says that in a year, he could probably only get 100 women pregnant. Only 100? Man, those are rookie numbers. You need to bump those up. But if he helped his homies out of deep sleep, the world could return to normal much quicker. So our boy made a final decision. He will be helping develop a cure for the MK virus and be the savior for humanity. We cut to Fox News, where an exclusive interview of Rito is being broadcast to the world. He does not know why he is here or why he is immune, but he will use his research science skills to make a cure for the MK virus. After the interview, his sister is fucking pissed. He just broadcast his existence to the entire world, and that has put him in much more danger than he is in now, than he was in a moment ago. Than he was in. He is in much more danger now than he was in before whatever. She also knows that this man goes on a grind when he's researching and is afraid it's going to affect his health. Rito says, and I quote, "I have slept for 5 years. This is nothing." Spoken like a true scientist. As they set up Arissa's office to continue her research, the sister spots a little toy bear on the ground and opens it up to find a smart ring in it. Rito takes the ring, runs into the bathroom, and plays the message on it. In the video, Arissa says that she was researching the origins of the virus and found that it is not natural at all. In fact, it's man-made. If it is man-made, then who made it and why? One word for you: femcells. We cut to what I presume is the high table of the UW talking shit about number 2. And then talking about how the central government can't do anything about him now that he's been publicized. I guess they were planning to ice him or something, but now he's known to the public and they can't, or else riots, I guess. They then switch topics to number 1 and see how he's doing. Apparently, since he's been awake, he's mated with 100 women, but only 28 of them are pregnant. Now you might think that, hey, that's pretty good success rate. But I think not. So he's fucked 100 girls and 28 of them are pregnant. That means he has a 28% success rate. Now, about 10 to 20 pregnancies end in miscarriages. I'm going to favor the 20% because they're kind of living in the apocalypse now. So 20% of 28 is 5.6. I'm going to round that up to 6. So 22 are viable pregnancies. Now, what the UW really wants, though, is boys. Now, the chance of a boy being born is kind of a coin flip, 51% for boys and 49% for girls. But for simplicity's sake, I will say it's about 50-50. That leaves 11 boys to be born. But 1 in 3 babies die from SIDS, so realistically, 8 would be the final tally, which gives him a realistic success rate of 8%. Thank you for coming to my math lecture. They then continued the roast number 2. They decided to advance their plans to the next stage and unfreeze number 3. And to that I say, the yellow-haired horseman's seal has been broken. Next episode, we're going to talk about one of my favorite characters. Oh, you're going to love this dude. We start with a flashback to episode 2040, with a guy getting his pants Donkusai, which stands for slow and stupid, and G, which is old man, because of his white hair. Now, I'm glad they did this translation for us. It really allows us to see the creative aspects of Japanese literature, even if it is to make fun of a dude for having white hair and acting slow and stupid. The teacher doesn't really know what to say, so all she does is reassure him that she does not think he is slow or stupid. I feel like she could have done better, though, like maybe confronting the bullies or some shit. His feelings, and that's how the anime ends. Just kidding. He says that his body has been hurting fairly recently, and the teacher recommends for him to just go home and go visit the hospital. He goes to the hospital, I assume the next day, and is diagnosed with, you guessed it, cellular cirrhosis. And with him grabbing at his chest, I think it might be systematic cirrhosis. We cut to the next day. We also won't tell him her age for some reason, but that's not important. He then starts to question his own age. Is he really older, or is he the same age? Which leads to the first philosophical question of this series. The cryopods in this series allow you to slow down your biological functions to the near point of stopping. You can enter at one age and exit at another, but your body and mind stay the same. So here's the question. Are you older, or are you the same age as you got in? Pardoning the philosophical questions, he asks if he's really the only man left alive. Karen says that, aside from the men in cryo, yes, he is the only man left alive, and they want to keep him that way, so they limit him to the dorms and school. The virus is everywhere outside, and they don't want him getting overexposed. They don't know the full effect of his immunity yet. The next day, I think, he goes to school for the first time. He walks in, and everyone is just standing there, menacingly. I would say if looks could kill, but I think they want to do the opposite. He introduces himself to the class and sits down. He goes throughout the day questioning the situation he's in, which he just brushes off and says when he was in school he was scared of girls. Me too, brother, me too. But Karen says that the girls here won't bite, so just relax, and he should definitely go down and know them better, man. Cut to night. Also, this dude's eyes look so soulless and broken when she gets on top of him. Cut to next morning's classes. There are a lot of cuts in this anime. One of the girls strikes up a conversation with Doi. Her name is Ichijo Natsu, or as I call her, Blondie. She is a rich chick, apparently. And that will be important later. You know, they talk about music and stuff. Okay, I kind of have a problem with this. Why do all the, strange characters in anime say that the girls who are usually physically close to them smell good? It's, so weird. That's kind of the last thing you notice about someone, usually. The talk of music attracts another girl, Hiragi Shunka, who's also, what the fuck? She then asks if Doi liked what they did last night. Doi answers that he was surprised, but he was happy that it was with her. She then tells him that her heart is in pain. She then dies from a heart attack. What do you mean it's emotional pain? Come on, man. She then asks him to do a little trick to make her pain go away like she did, and then it's presumed they fucked in the classroom. Next episode, we're going to learn more about his relationship with the girls in his class. Our boy is sleeping soundly in his bed when he is awakened by his teacher making waffles. It's the weekend, so they don't have to do anything but sleep and bang. It's been about a week since he first banged his teacher, and they've been doing it every day, like animals. He wishes it could stay like this forever. Cue intro. Also, after the intro, this is just a sort of side note, after the intro is usually over, they usually have these random still images on something from the previous scene or after scene. It's really weird. I don't know why they did that. On what I presume is Monday, Doi is being dragged by Karen to swim/gym class. Now everyone gets to see his manly body. Doi doesn't really want to participate in the swim class, though, but Karen says that it has been a while since he's woken up from cold sleep and he needs to get his exercise in. He does his stretches with the girls, all of whom watch him, like a pack of wolves watching a dying deer. After participating in a little bit of swimming, he sits on the sidelines and watches the girls compete against each other. Oddly competitive today. As he watches them, from the depths of hell, the gremlin appears and says that they're all wasting their time, and that she, Rain, the flying fish of Rhine River, will be better than all of them. Akira then walks past her, noting flying fish don't live in rivers. Akira again apologizes to Doi for hurting him yesterday. I guess it isn't Monday then. The timeline of this series can be a little weird sometimes, especially on Doi's side of the episodes. It gets really weird. Anyways, she then goes to ask Doi something else, but then is embarrassed by the flying fish of Rhine River by her pulling her swimsuit down. Akira then tests if the flying fish of this river can really fly and hucks her into the pool, where she proceeds to drown. After that fanatic day of swimming, homeboy Doi goes back to his bachelor pad and calls up his main hoe on the hotline. She says she's busy, but she'll hang and bang with him tomorrow. He then gets a knock at the door, and Blonde... I can't do that. I can't do this. Blondie showed up Blondie showed up at his door. Not gonna lie, I was kind of expecting Akira to show up there. She says that she'll be staying in his room starting today. Karen tells him that her air conditioning unit is broken, and so she'll be staying with him until it's fixed. Yeah, fucking right. Doi sees through her facade and comes to the realization of why the girls have been so competitive today. Karen's like, yeah, you're right. They've just been competing against each other for a chance to stay with you for a week. She'll be gone and replaced with another girl next week. So you two better get along. Bye. So that happened. Doi wakes up the next day. Blondie is still here. After a quick wash-up and a Peking Jane clothes change, Homeboy is ready for the day, but Homegirl is still in her PJs. Why am I still doing this? Doi questions why she hasn't changed yet. Apparently, Blondie is so rich that her maids used to change her clothes for her, so she doesn't really know how to do it herself. I kind of wonder, though, what would that would it look like a contortionist trying to, fit through a tennis racket or something? She calls herself a failure, and Doi says it's fine, and he'll help her change. While dressing her, he notices a scar on her skin, which will have some significance later. He meets up with Karen at lunchtime. She asks how the dressing went, and he says, fuck you. He says that he felt embarrassed the entire time. He doesn't really know her, so it just felt awkward. Karen says something out of pocket, resulting in water getting spat on her, forcing her to go to the bathroom to clean up. Shortly after, Shunka appears. He randomly asks how Blondie changes herself after a bath, which I say is a valid question. But fucking Shunka shouts out, "You want to take a bath with Blondie?" And to that I would say, fuck you. I'm going to kill myself. After which Shunka would say, just kidding. She would just go with her roommate and have her roommate dress her. Still in his shocked state, he thinks about how he talks to these girls so naturally now. The past version of himself would be downright terrified of the world he lives in now, but he's sort of grown into a social butterfly. Later that night, him and Blondie are sleeping in their respective beds. Doi is awake, questioning the feelings Blondie has for him. Blondie, like a twisted apparition, appears at the side of his bed. She's cold and wants to sleep in his bed. You know, for warmth. So they lie in their bed. And Blondie starts talking about the scar on her back. She was very insecure about it and was glad Doi didn't bring it up. And to that I say, you should never be ashamed of the scars you have. Scars are the stories of our body. They tell the hardships and adventures you went through in life. They tell you that you went through a rough time in your life and you came out alive and you are better than you were before. They are something you should be proud of. Never be ashamed of your scars. She then goes on a bit of a side trauma-dumping tangent about how she was arranged into a business marriage by her father to someone 20 years older than herself. But they were both killed by the MK virus. And she says she's a bad person because she's glad the MK virus came because now she can be with Doi. Wow, I do not have words for that. Anyways, Doi says that she's not a bad person for thinking that, and that he's also glad the world turned out this way. Wow, I still don't know what to say about that. I guess that's a match made in hell. They exchanged a kiss, and Natsu asks him to take off her clothes. Meanwhile, in Plot A, Rito is being filmed for a news segment about his day-to-day life studying the virus. They also interviewed viewers about their thoughts on him, and they're all mostly positive. Man, is there anyone actually watching this? 94% of the country watches this. Damn. Insert joke about TV falling off after all the men died. Sue then pesters Rito to look at the thirsty MILFs in your area. What the fuck is this script? End of Plot A. Our boy wakes up with rich Blondie next to him. They busy down. Back to Plot A. Rito is wandering about in the courtyard, thinking about how his sister hangs out with the refugees. That's when number one, who's apparently his name is Hino, asks him to come over. He shows Rito an ultrasound of his child. Also, is this just me, or when you look at a ultrasound, do you not see anything? Because I can't see anything when I look at an ultrasound. It just looks like gray blobs to me. Anyways, Rito congratulates him on the pregnancy and the start of fatherhood. Hino asks if he's jealous of him and grabs Rito's balls. He then walks away saying it's not good to have blue balls. What the fuck? Back to plot B. Oh my gosh, there's so many jump cuts. Doi has gone to the music room to practice. His teacher is there. She's acting fairly cryptic and strange, saying Doi doesn't belong to her, but to everyone. She then runs away crying. Doi confronts Karen about all the strange things that have been happening to him since he's been out of cryo. At first I thought this was all a joke, but there would be no benefit in pranking me for this long and at this level, and the girls were definitely not actors. So it's a matter of fact that all the men in the world have died except for the few in cryo. I would never lie to you, dear Doi. Okay. Then are there any other men immune to the MK virus? There might be. It's a pretty big world. Okay. This school is a test on me, isn't it? Oh? What would make you think that? My immunity to the MK virus makes me a very valuable resource. I'm positive you did a lot of tests on me when I was in cryo, but you don't know how the virus works or how I'm immune. You aren't locking me up and experimenting on me for 2 reasons. 1, it would go against my human rights. And 2, if I killed myself out of stress, the loss would be devastating. Therefore, the point of this school is to bring girls you think I'd like to keep me relaxed while you got data to cure the MK virus, correct? Not exactly. What? Follow me, please. Karen brings Doi to the classroom and tells the girls that their lesson for today is canceled. She was impressed that Doi was able to find out so much with the limited info he had. And yeah, as he guessed, the whole school was put together for him. Look at me, Damien. It's all for you. It was all put together for him to bang as many chicks as possible. Artificial insemination doesn't work and they don't know why. So they have to continue his lineage of immunality the old-fashioned way, if humanity has a chance for survival. All of these girls are here of their own volition, and they're all very interested in Doi. Show how interested you are in Doi, girls. Then they all strip in front of him. Poor Doi. Anyways, how the episode ends is we listen to a discussion of some UW higher-ups talking about the numbers and their progress. They say that since number 2 ain't mating, he has no need for an attendant, and they will remove Sue. No! In episode 5, that's where the ball's going to start to get rolling. We start this episode with Rito doing tests for a vaccine for the MK virus. All of them are failing. He walks out of his little hovel to get some fresh air and runs into a brand new character. And of course, in anime fashion, he falls on top of her. 25 seconds into this episode, and we already have a classic anime compromising position. And of course, she's naked for some reason. This is going to be a long episode. She runs away, and, well, we'll get to know her later. Rito is now in the cafeteria chatting up some Huns when another new character comes out of the woodworks and starts calling him a perverted creep. Rito asks who pissed in her cornflakes this morning, and she confronts him about the interaction he had with the naked researcher in the hall. And before he could explain, she walks away. We then get a call from Sue asking to speak with him. He's pulled into a meeting, and apparently the decisions from last episode have come true, and Sue is no longer his attendant. He has 2 brand new attendants, Katagiri Ria, Miss Hardass, and Kudura Mira, the naked researcher. Maria will be helping with research and Miss Hardass with public stuff. Also, I will not be calling her by her real name. I will be calling her Miss Hardass. Rito is still questioning why they're firing Sue. We like Sue. Sue is good. Sue is friend. And they say that if you like her so much, why don't you marry her? mate with her. As soon as the paperwork is done, Sue will no longer be Rito's attendant, which also makes me question how bad is like the paperwork in this universe. Like, I imagine since like the death of like half the people, paperwork must be like a fucking nightmare to get done. Just like absolutely awful. Hardass says that it's his own fault for not mating with any girls, and now that she's in charge and he's not mating with anyone, his freedoms will be restricted. Which will not matter, you'll see soon why. We cut to Sue doing the long walk to nowhere, and Hardass appearing behind her, acting all buddy-buddy. Sue, keeping it professional, tells her to take care of Rito, and Hardass calls him a, quote, loser who only thinks of women as tools. Of course, Sue, being the pal that she is, does not take that sort of slander toward her boy lightly and walks away before the conversation escalates. Cut to the bullet train, the gang is heading towards Kimono City, where both a hot spring resides and the location of the first MK virus that appeared in Japan was. Keita is talking to Maria through the bathroom stall about where the MK virus was born. Maria has an actually moment and talks about how we don't really know where viruses came from and says there's about 3 theories on the origins of viruses. The regressive hypothesis, the escape hypothesis, and the virus first hypothesis. This was a pain to research. The regressive hypothesis means that the virus came from a free living cell or an intercellular parasite that simplified over time into what they are nowadays. The virus first hypothesis is that viruses had existed long before man. This says that the viruses evolved from a complex self-replicating molecular system, proteins, nucleic acids, stuff like that, in the primordial soup before the first living cellular organisms appeared on Earth. And then there's the escape hypothesis, where viruses started as like mobile bits of cellular genetic material like plasmids or transponds that escaped their host cells, gaining a protein coating and infectivity, evolving into complex viruses by acquiring more genes via horizontal transfers, stuff like that. But that's not what our boy was asking. He was asking where she thinks the MK virus originated. Anyways, she says that the virus possibly always existed and that it only now came in contact with humanity. And I mean, with the glaciers melting and them releasing giant viruses with fucking ginormous genomes that could rival most fucking bacteria, I wouldn't be surprised. Rito then asks if maybe the virus was man-made. And when she hears that, she goes on a scientific tangent. And I will tell you, once you get a scientist talking about their special interests, there is no stopping them. They make it to the hotel and unpack all their stuff. Once Rito is done unpacking, he takes a dip in the hot springs to relax and have some time to himself. He is then rudely interrupted by any man's worst enemy, a naked woman. Multiple of them at that. He tries to leave, but the alcoholic stops him, saying that she'll wash his back as a thanks for all the help he's given. He denies it and says that it's really them who helped them, and it's not really the same thing. And to that I say, wrong choice of words, little man. She then asks him to wash all their backs for all the work they've done. He then washes all the girls' backs. It's not really that important. There was this scene at the 10-minute timestamp where he says, she has such a pretty back. I misread it the first time, and I thought he said, she has a pretty big back. And I was like, damn, that's savage, Rito. Anyways, he thought Sue was the last girl, and then the alcoholic came up and asked for a special request. We're done when I say we're done. She then made him wash almost her entire body by hand, no cloth. And I say almost because he chickened out when she moved his hands down between her legs. I mean, she just really wants some dude to schlick her off in a hot springs. I can understand, but it's not appropriate. The next morning, they meet up with someone special that's related to the MK virus, Miss Taniguchi, the wife of the first man to contract and die from the MK virus in Japan. And she is a bitch. She won't tell them nothing about what her husband was doing before he contracted the MK virus. She's angry and depressed. Her husband is dead and he ain't coming back even if they make a cure. Rito then asks the question probably 1,000 other people have asked her and says, "What do we have to do to get you to help us?" She jokingly says, "Screw her," and then asks them to leave. In the hall, Maria says that the MK virus appeared in multiple places around the world. So there's a theory that it was a bioweapon that was spread by some nation state or terrorist group. And then there's another theory that it appeared naturally. And then yet another one that it was made by the Earth itself to wipe out humanity. But they still don't know where it came from. Of all the three, I legit think that most people would just think the bioterrorism one. It makes the most sense because no virus really just appears randomly in multiple places all at once. Cut to Taniguchi. She has some connection with Arisa, which will be important later. The next morning, they visit her again, and just like yesterday, they get nothing. Taniguchi asks, "Shouldn't you be banging chicks instead of researching this virus?" Hardass speaks up and says that Rito has stayed celibate the entire time he's been out of cryosleep. This intrigues the woman and is asked to be left alone with Rito. She inquires why he ain't doing it 24/7. She inquires why he ain't doing the sideways tango 24/7. And he says that he's waiting for his lovely Arisa to come back. That bores her, and she tells him to leave. That night, Rito and the useless bodyguard sneak out to the outdoor hot springs. Unfortunately, nothing goes to plan, and some people arrive, forcing Rito to hide in the sauna. A full 10 seconds later, he is found. This woman comes in and says to him that if he leaves, she will scream. As the late and great Roanoke Gaming once said, "If I can't mansplain, manspread, or man-whore my way out of this, manslaughter it is." She explains that her name is Chloe, and she is an American exchange student who just loves Japan and its culture. Yeah, right. And now she wants to play a game with Rito. This game is a game of endurance. If she leaves the sauna first, she won't tell anyone he's here. But if he leaves first, he has to do one thing she tells him. Also, she knows his full name for some reason. She's clearly not an exchange student, and is clearly, that's right, a federal agent. Eventually, after 30 to 40 minutes, she faints. All right, time to run. Nope! He drags her fat ass to the changing room and nurses her back to health. Now, it kind of shows his kind nature for caring for individuals, even strangers who threaten him. But this is no time to be nice, man! This is the time to run! Of course, when he gets up to get some more help, she wakes up from her coma and tells him to feed her with his mouth and threatens to scream if he doesn't. Of course, when he's about to make contact, the whole gang walks in and they think he's finally fucking someone and they all leave. Yep. Yeah, you think that's how it ends? No, it isn't. The next day, they try to appeal to Taniguchi by massaging her and getting her pastries. While Rito and Hardass are gone, Taniguchi has a chat with Sue, asking her what Rito is like. Sue says that Rito is a very selfish individual for dedicating himself to his research of the virus. He could at least bang 2 to 4 chicks a week while he's doing his research, but no, he's just dedicated to the grind. Rito then comes back with the pastries, and Taniguchi says that she's tired and to come back tomorrow, where she will spout about the good old days and how people are all wusses nowadays, and maybe she'll tell a story about her husband. The gang leaves victorious. Unfortunately, during the night, someone came in and poisoned Taniguchi, and now she's comatose. Though before she went under, she told a nurse to give her framed photo to Rito. And that's how it ends. Things are about to escalate in the next few episodes, so fuckle buck, father muckers. I gotta stop talking. This episode, we're going to be bouncing between the everyday lives of 2 men, Hino and Rito. So there's going to be a lot of jump cuts. We start the episode with Rito, the alcoholic, and the useless bodyguard exploring an abandoned hospital. Apparently, this hospital is the starting place of the Japanese MK epidemic. The bodyguard is terrified of this place because she thinks it's haunted. I found this to be very funny. To think a child soldier, super bodyguard person is scared of ghosts, it just tickles my funny bone. The reason they're there is they're trying to find clues on how Taniguchi's husband was infected. But I imagine if they're looking for data, the HWO would have taken most of it to their headquarters. Also, this was the early days of the pandemic, so I imagine most of the info they would have on Taniguchi would be digitized, so it would be stored in some hard drive somewhere. Cut to Hino, once again living the high life, having girls feed him strawberries and pour him wine and give him massages all day long. Well, he's a happy man, but doing the same thing every day gets boring. Cut to Hard-Ass returning the framed photo Taniguchi gave to Rito. They scanned it initially, I guess, to search for anomalies in it, any information or any, viral agents that could possibly hurt Rito, but there was nothing on it. We pass by the school, and Maria says that she has a little sister that goes there. Rito says that, we can, stop by and visit her, but she declines and says that she's probably busy studying or something. We cut to see Hino window shopping for his next girl. So far, nothing has piqued his interest. All of them are practically the same. But then he sees her, a new girl he would definitely like to mate with. Cut to the bathroom. Rito is scanning the photo to see if there's anything on it and finds a fairly corrupt file about the MK virus. And in the file, it proves that the MK virus was man-made. But now he has a new problem. Who can he trust with this information? Also, how did they not find this information on that fucking photo? I don't know. It's so weird. Cut to late at night. We see a girl assaulting another girl. Thankfully, a hero came down from the heavens and said, "This is no time for Cespian Lex." And that hero was surprisingly hard-ass. And then the girl is so thankful. She's like, "Oh, thank you, Oni-san," which means, oh, god damn it. You think you're done with the toxic Yuri-sister relationships in anime, but then they hit you just with another one. Anyway, she'll become important in the plot later. We cut back to Rito and Maria walking down the hall to nowhere. Rito inquires on why the research for the MK virus has been going so slowly. It's been 5 years since the initial infection. Even with all the people dying, I imagine they would find, some useful data on it or something. Maria says that the UW technical director says that they need to focus their scientific resources on food production, which I say makes sense. 70% of the world's farmers are men, so that would drastically cut food supplies, and with people running about to other countries because their country is in anarchy, that would put a lot of pressure on food supplies that were stocked up and make them run dry quicker. Anyways, Maria says that all of the major researchers are in the UW headquarters, which is in America. Any research data on the vaccine isn't given out to people outside of the US for whatever reason. Doesn't make much sense that they haven't sent any researchers to Japan to help. If I were in her shoes with the lack of information we the watchers have, I would say that most of the researchers don't come to Japan because, well, there's probably no researchers that speak Japanese, and they don't have any translators. That'll just be my guess, though. We are then interrupted by Hino's diplomat. Hino wants to fuck Rito's sister. Of course, the sister is pissed and says, "I can't imagine doing something naughty with a man I've never met." So Rito tells him off. Unfortunately, Hino is determined. He won't give up that easily and begs on his hands and knees for at least a short date. Man, this dude is desperate. Rito caves and says that they can go on a short date. But before that, we cut to some UWs having a small meeting about scuffles in the refugee camp and ways they can calm them down. There's been an upscale of people opposing the UW's control in other countries, mostly because they aren't getting enough food. Looks like they ain't a big fan of the government. And then they have an idea. A wonderful, terrible idea. They'll slaughter them. No, I'm kidding. Their actual idea was, why don't they just use number 2 to give out rations to the people to calm them down? It's an interesting solution, using the already large popularity of number 2 to calm down the masses. Sort of like a propaganda piece or a beacon of hope. Like Big Brother. Wait. They agree on it and say that security has to be extra tight for this. Tight? Bitch, this has to be waterproof. Speaking of waterproof, Rito gets jumped by the alcoholic and Maria in the shower, but not for the cool and sexy reasons. They want to know if he has any info on the MK virus. They learned recently that for the last few years, virologists have been vanishing one by one and they don't know whether they're alive or not. They believe that it's the UW and that they're all corrupt and they're icing researchers for some reason, but they don't really know why. They are then interrupted by Hardass. Quick, everyone act natural! Cut to Sue brushing her hair, taking care of her appearance and stuff. Hardass walks in and tries to seduce her, saying that she's so innocent, so beautiful, like a water lily in the moonlight. Of course, Sue isn't having any of that and tells her to leave. Hardass says at the door that she'll make her forget Rito. You just haven't had a real woman yet. And then there's supposed to be a freeze frame at 5:15 and put something funny there, maybe add a slow zoom. Cut to the hospital again. The gang is setting up a sort of base of operations where they can research the MK virus without the government interfering. If you want, what's the term? If you want to hide a tree, put it in a forest. Cut to the ration distribution. All the people there are fangirling over Rito, asking him for handshakes and selfies and for him to sign their tits. What the fuck is this script? But not all of them are dumb enough to fall for it. The government just brought them out here to shut us up with food and entertainment to keep the masses entertained. So stupid for y'all to fall for it. There are also people who are definitely have it out for him. For instance, the sniper on the roof. Unfortunately, the sister of Hardass took her out. Her friends are looking over the area and can't find anyone else who has it out for Rito. So he's safe and sound. Cut to the date with Hino and Rito's sister. Supervised, of course. It went as well as trying to give a handshake to a starving shark. She leaves and leaves him with the bill. Poor bro is devastated. Back at the... Oh my gosh. So many cuts. I think this might be the last one. Back to the hospital, the gang is using an old underground network the UW doesn't use anymore. Because of course one of them has to be a hacker. Akane then scares the living daylights out of Sue. Not important to the plot, just thought it was funny. A little bit later, after they're doing some research, they find the names of Maria's old research friends in one of the records of the abandoned hospital. Apparently they were hospitalized here, but she was told that they all went to America. Shit just got dark, and it's about to get a lot darker. But that's in the next episode. We're back to school, baby! And Doi looks empty. Blondie tries to cheer him up, but he blue balls her and takes a walk outside. He meets Karen while walking outside, and she reminds him that he is the most precious little creature in the entire world, and leaving the school grounds is against the rules, and shuffles him off back to bed. The next day, Karen pulls the lottery to see who will be fucking Doi this week. And the lucky winner this week is the redhead Garu. Well, not redhead in an anime sense, but in like our sense. Doi is very taken aback by this situation, and he goes to take a piss to clear his mind. This is not good for Doi because the last Garu he knew, abused him. This Garu, though, is especially impatient and wants to fuck him in the bathroom right now.
I want that booty, Tom.
You can't have my booty.
Oh, yeah, I can.
The booty is mine. It belongs to me. You cannot take my booty. The booty is mine. It belongs to me. You cannot take my booty.
He eventually loses her by ducking into the teacher's lounge, the same place he used to hide when times got tough in the past. Shortly after, Shunka appears. Apparently, this is also a spot she used to hide from her bullies. Also also casting couch. They begin a sort of heart-to-heart with each other, where Shunka brings up the scars on Doi's body, and he explains how he was bullied aggressively back in the day, before he went into cryo. You know, they used to kick me, piss on me, throw my shit into the toilet. It was awful. She then proceeds to strip, oh no, and show her scars, oh no. $5 says this leads to sex. Apparently girls can be really violent. She would come here to clear her mind and listen to music, sort of like a little island away from everybody. You know, I always thought when girls bully people, it wasn't physical, it was sort of psychological. You know, guys were physical, girls always went psychological. They related to each other, sort of trauma bonding over the experience. And she asked to see Doi's bruises, and you can guess what happened after that. Later that night, he brings Shunka back to his room, but thanks to his forgetfulness, the Garou is in his room. Apparently, her real name is Yanagi Rika, and she is pissed that Doi brought back another girl. It's her turn this week, so Redhead, in the anime sense, can go fuck off. The two redheads then get into a little cat fight. You know, when I saw this scene, I thought Doi was going to be, overwhelmed and pass out from this interaction, but, he runs away instead. He then runs into Akira, the volleyball captain. They talk for a bit, and she asks how his head is doing. The words of Karen then slip into his mind. None of them dislike you. This is the first act of corruption. He said his head still hurts from the headshot and still feels the pain of it at night. Akira, shocked, apologizes profusely, saying that she would do anything to help him get rid of this pain. Doi cracks a smile and says, "Then roll up your shirt." And surprisingly, she does. Doi is shocked that she would do such a thing and apologizes and runs off. The next day, Doi is once again walking to nowhere and passes by Akira cleaning the gym. He again apologizes about what happened last night, and she says that he can make it up to her if he helps her clean. $5 says this leads to sex. So they begin to clean, gathering up shit and stuff, and bringing it to the closet. On their last round, Akira locks her and Doi in the closet, and then proceeds to take advantage of him, which is extremely fucked up if I do say so myself. Akira then apologizes after, and they're all good. Rika stopped being his roommate. Karen switched up the lottery system, and now he's gonna have a new girl every day. Something to do with increased turnover rates and connecting with the girls faster, both on a psychological and physical level, if you know what I mean. And the first one up is fucking Rika. Doi tries his damnedest to run from the situation, but he's clumsy as fuck and falls over. He is then sent to the nurse's office to tend to his wounds. After getting patched up, the nurse wants to do a full body scan to make sure he's fully okay. $5 says this... no, never mind. This joke's getting old. After the scan, he notices how big the nurse's bed is and inquires about it. The nurse gives him the answer by letting in 3 of his classmates to take care of him. Of course, Karen is watching. 719, that lean... 1719, that lean. This is actually, we're about to see one of my favorite parts. Later, we see the red gremlin making a concoction that will make Doi fall for her. And her, the flying fish of the Rhine River, will be able to conquer Doi and become queen of the world. Of course, Doi appears out of nowhere and asks what's poppin'. Of course, she acts like a gremlin and insults him. Doi then asks do you even like me, dude? What do you even like about me? And she said, his face, or in Japanese, this was just the fucking funniest scene. He's like, oh, what do you like about me? Cow. Of course, Doi shares the same sense of humor as me and finds this fucking hilarious. She also says that she likes his caring nature with the other girls. He's kind and stuff. She asks why he doesn't want to be with her though. Make 1843 and 1845 into a meme or something. He gives her a peck on the forehead and thanks her for the compliment and says that if she grows up a little more, he'll consider it. She then goes back to being a gremlin, talking about how she'll use a growth machine to age herself up. And that's what we call in the business foreshadowing. Later, Doi bumps into Karen, who gives him some bad news about his teacher. She says that she's moved away to a different school for family reasons, and she won't be back for a while. Family reasons. Poor Doi is devastated. He demands her to bring her back, but the best she can do is bring her back in about 1 to 2 years. He cries himself to sleep alone that night. He is a god of this world, free to do what he likes, but he's bound to a single area. The next day, he is angry. He is fucking angry. He gets a new girl assigned to him. He looks at her with disgust and disdain. He has a small realization then. He can have any girl he likes. They're all cute, and they all like him. He could choose any one of them. He could choose you. He could choose me. He could even choose... Maybe this crazy school was driving him crazy. The next day, a new transfer student has come to the school. And this one is a blast from the past. The next episode, I'm pretty sure you'll learn his nickname. That or I'll improv it. I don't know. Flashback! It's lunchtime and Doi is getting his shit rocked on the roof of the school, getting kicked around like a soccer ball during gym class. When out of the door walks his classmate and the target of this episode, Shino, or as I call her, the Watcher. That's because when she walks in on the scene of Doi getting his shit rocked, she opts to continue like nothing happened. Even after her friends advised her to leave, she fucking doubled down and said, "Who cares? I want to eat here." Snap back to the president, and the Watcher is on the roof with him, asking for his help. Of course, he tells her to, quote, "fuck off," unquote. Hold on, let me hydrate. When she tried to talk to some of Doi's classmates, none of them would trust her. None of the girls really trust her. Everyone here knows each other, and they're all striving for the same goal. But with this third party, a 20-something-year-old that transferred here randomly, they all think that she's here for nefarious reasons, or reasons that don't orient with their goals. Doi questions why Karen brought the Watcher to the school. Karen, of course, said that she came here by her own volition, just like all the other girls. She wants to be an entertainer, but there's a much less demand for them since all of the men disappeared. If she mated with Doi, the UW people would want to work with her. There's probably a joke I can make here, but I don't know what it would be. Karen tells him to just think of it as a test to see how serious she is to become an entertainer. What is she willing to sacrifice to let her dreams come true? What is she truly willing to... Who said that? Anyways, and boy, did Doi test her. He forced her one day to come to school with just a shirt on, and then the next day, just her underwear. And then the final test, the roof. He brings her up to the roof and discusses what he wants to do to her. He says that he'll talk to the UW agents about getting her a job there at the UW TV station. All she has to do is sleep with him. Of course, she says, deal. And that's when a couple of people walk out onto the roof. She has to sleep with him on the roof while people watch. And surprisingly, she does it. After that endeavor, back at his room, Karen says that he isn't using his power to the fullest, and he could do so much more. And that, of course, gives Doi an idea. Skip to plot A. The gang is still shocked by how many people are missing. So many virologists, psychologists, pharmacologists. Rito now speculates that this may be the hospital where the virus was first manufactured. Why? Fuck if I know. Back to plot B. Karen has got the thing Doi wanted a lot faster than he expected, and Doi is happy about that. He goes to the boys' bathroom, opens up the door, and lo and behold, the thing he wanted was the Garou bully. Not this Garou, the one from his old life. Oh yeah, by the way, when I first saw this scene, I was like, no way they have this bitch in chains. And I just thought it was the funniest thing ever. Anyway, she faced the wrath of man that day, mostly consisting of splashing water on her and making her lick the scars of his past. Surprisingly, he did not assault her. Doi is embracing the dark side, but the girls are equally as manipulative. Karis told them that they best get their groove on and take the rank as Doi's first or second wife. If they don't and they let someone else take it from them, they'll be on the lower hierarchy of his harem for the rest of his life. Cut to swim class, and the girls are competing against each other again. Unfortunately, the Munich Thunderbolt walks into the ring, ready to destroy the competition. Whilst they fought, Blondie had some fun with Akira and Doi. And that fun consisted of cutting off Doi's swimsuit and hiding his body in Akira's swimsuit. I feel like they can find better forms of entertainment than that. Once the competition was over, all the girls noticed Doi was gone and they left for lunch. Blondie, Akira, and Doi then fuck in the pool. After that pool session, Doi has fully leaned into his corruption, doing all sorts of taboo acts with the girls, and foregoing the lottery and just picking random girls throughout the school, enjoying his time in sweet, sweet insanity that he calls this world. Oh yeah, the bully Garu is still here, chained to his bed. After he brought one of the girls to his bedroom, the Garu fucking has the audacity to question why he's still mad about the actions they committed 5 years ago. And this is what I have to say to her. This girl really fails to understand this. He was in cryosleep. It may have been 5 years ago to her, just, a blip in the past, something to forget. But to him, it felt like no time had passed at all. There are far and few new memories that separate him from the time he was spat on, kicked, punched, beaten black and blue, and called a stupid old man for who he was. He faced that fucked reality for years, and now he has come to a reality that practically bends to his will. Every pleasure, every want and desire, every wish granted in this sweet, insane place. And the thing he wants most in this reality is revenge on the sins of the past that still to him were like yesterday. There is no reasoning with this man. Later that night, the Garu starts to shake. Apparently, she was a drug addict before coming here and is suffering from withdrawal symptoms. Doi gives her some medicine via oral means and goes back to sleep. And that's how the episode ends. Except for, a last bit where the gang is traveling on a train back to the virus spawn site. We start this episode with a former military and is part of the Peacekeeping Activity Bureau of the UW, an organization that monitors threats to the UW leadership. Aside from that, the higher-ups discuss the strange happenings around Rito. First the bear, then the sniper. Now this, it's all very suspicious. But they have the numbers, so they have the initiative. Alright, to plot B. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. Oh, I forgot to fucking add the nickname. Also, the nickname I gave to Doi was Anakin. Okay, I'm gonna, stop here for a second. This girl is supposed to be sort of the dark and mysterious plot point of this anime, but I can't fucking remember her name. I don't know if that's my fault or the creator, but I cannot be fucked to remember it. Anyways, Anakin is cleaning up with the girls in the girls' dorm bath. Classic sexy bath time. All we're missing is a beach and beach. What the fuck is this script? Anakin has been indulging in every dark urge. He's been doing it in the library, the nurse's office, in the class. And thanks to the hand of God, via an accidental scaring of the bodyguard, she reveals a secret passage. Side plot S. Side plot A. The messenger's plane has just landed, and the Japanese UW are meeting with the messenger. Apparently, she is not Mansfield, but her aide. The aide says that Mansfield is somewhere else in Japan doing something important. The gang is moving through secret tunnels. Unfortunately, via the plot in The Hand of God, they fall through the vents because these idiots can't space themselves out properly or have a couple people wait behind them. So this redhead chick, who is for some reason the technical director, sees them and tells them that they won't make it out alive. But before they're gunned down by the guards, the child soldier springs into action and takes them all down. Is what I would be saying if she did anything but cower in fear. But instead, the Hand of God comes down yet again, and the guards are gunned down by someone else. It's fucking Team America come to save the day, with Chloe leading the charge. What the fuck is that outfit? Okay, this might be rude for me to say, but this is just fucking ridiculous. All your other soldiers are dressed in the proper attire for this. This is supposed to be like some Black Ops mission shit to discover some evil place in Japan, and you dress like that? My God. If I had a soldier who dressed like that in a tactical situation, I would think that they're either suicidal, smooth-brained, or just fucking insane. Anyways, turns out she's Mansfield, and she's with the UW headquarters. She was with the peacekeeping operation. Just look at that animation. To plot B, the girls are fighting over who gets to ride on Anakin's disco stick. The girls are fighting over who gets to ride on. Chloe asks Rito if he's the only man who can survive in the outside world, and also why the Japanese directors decided to show him to the world. There's going to be a lot of jump cuts in this section. Just hold with me. Cut to the Japanese directors and Chloe's aide having a chat. She asks if there are any other men that are immune to the MK virus. Also, apparently, her name is Hope. That's ironic. And once everyone figured out that the UW has the last surviving man, people went fucking ape shit. His reveal caused more terrorist groups to act up all over the world. And you remember, fucking Rito's girlfriend, Arisa. Is that her name? Yeah, it's Arisa. Yeah, apparently she's part of a terrorist group. Poor homeboy had a hard time believing that, though. Cut to plot B. Oh my gosh. Anakin is watching his slaves sleep. And that's where the episode ends. We start this episode with Doi waking up in a hospital bed and Karen crying over him. After a brief checkup, Fish explains that there's a terrorist attack at the school and they tried to kidnap Doi. Doi has a hard time believing, saying, and I quote, "Terrorists? Women? Yeah, I have a hard time believing that the terrorists are women also, Doi." But Karen explains that a lot of people aren't happy that the UW is in charge of the world's resources, and they want to be in charge of those resources instead. Speaking of women, Doi's little girlfriends drop by to see how he's doing. They're glad to see he survived and is awake and okay. Little Shunka, Blondie, Akira, even the gremlin are all here to see if he's okay. After a brief cuddle session, we cut to Doi and Karen on the roof getting some fresh air. Doi kind of questions if it's safe for him to be outside, but Karen shows off the 40,000 volt electric fence around them. Yeah, you gotta keep the last man's body safe, I guess. Yeah, about that. Doi then learns for the first time that he is in fact not the last man on Earth. He is in fact one of 4 guys left in the world. And he is terrified. It'll be like high school all over again. The kicking, the spitting, all the torture. Competition's rough, eh? Karen says that after he recovers, they'll be making their way to Tokyo to throw themselves into the fray and take the lead through all this chaos. Doi kind of questions what she's really after all this time. And Karen says her main goal is to blow up, become better than all the women in the UW, more powerful, more important, to be the number 1 in the entire world. Her words, not mine. And that's why she needs him, Doi, the precious wonder boy, to be the number 1 man in the entire world. Doi likes her ambition and agrees to help her. Would you take that deal? I'll take that deal. Damn good deal. We zoom out to Dirty Blonde hiding from security. She contacts Orisa, saying that she failed to capture number 3. Orisa says it's fine and just to get out of there in one piece. We then see the fruits of their labor, the cryopod of number 4. The terrorists spout some zealot crap about starting a new history with the awakening of their holy servant and yada yada. We then cut to Chloe giving a breakdown of what happened during the terrorist attack. The terrorists took advantage of the messenger coming to Japan and how that kind of threw a wrench into everyone's plans, and launched an attack on multiple facilities, leading to the kidnap of number 4. The reasoning behind the actions of the terrorists is still unknown, but it's likely the tyranny of the Japanese UW branch. Rito asks if Orisa was part of the terrorist group that attacked them, and Chloe gives a regretful yes. But they'll be keeping him and his friends safe till all of this dies down. Cut to a meeting with Chloe and the UW higher-ups. She's confirming that all of the numbers except for number 4 are under their careful watch. Also, she's naked for some reason. I don't know why. Cut to Rito lying in his bed when he gets a notification on his phone that the tracker has left Japan. Now he can't track his precious Orisa. Then something happens with the nurse that really isn't important to this plot. Sometime later, Maria bursts into Rito's room and tells him to turn on the news. Apparently, Orisa and her zealots hijacked the UW airwave and are spreading their message.
I come to make an announcement. Shadow the Hedgehog's a bitch-ass motherfucker. He pissed on my fucking wife.
They say that they are not terrorists. They are a group that will free the world of the UW control. The UW was full of liars. They only told them about the one man in cryo and saying he was the last man on Earth. But no! They have another. Number 4, whose name is Zen Kenebuchi. There are a lot of Buchis in this series, surprisingly. They also blame the UW for spreading the MK virus because they found high concentrations of the virus on fucking satellites, and the president of the company who made the satellites is one of the leaders of the UW, and therefore the UW is trying to eliminate all men to create a world only comprised of women. They also think they're trying to create a way to make children using only female genes. Honestly, that sounds fucking crazy, but honestly, coming from this story, that might be possible. Anyways, their demands are they want all of the men that are awake and all the men that are in cryo to be turned over to them. The terrorists then get booted from the air before anything else can happen. Rito runs to Chloe demanding answers. At first, she avoids the question, and then tells Rito to think rationally. None of the men in cryo or awake have died since they've arrived in Japan. And if the UW really wanted all men dead, they would have been dead a long time ago. Stop listening to your old lover and her evil terrorist lies. She then begins to strip to scare him off. She gets into another meeting with the UW heads. She says that everyone's a little nervous after the broadcast, but the Japanese are an obedient people, so there won't be a problem. They say that the plan is all in order and to be very careful with how they deal with the numbers, especially Rito. Also, aren't these people supposed to be American? So I imagine that they would probably be communicating in English or something, but I guess not. Speaking of Rito and his buddies are walking to nowhere. They need to get to Orisa. The alcoholic agrees. Here's the quote from the show.
Let's burn this place to the ground.
As they go to discuss the plan, they are greeted by Karen and a tall, white-haired individual. Number 3. Doi Shota. And that's where the episode ends, and now we're on to the last one. We start this episode with a flashback to Doi getting back into a pod. He's had enough of this shit, and he's just gonna go down to cryo, have a pint, and wait for all this to blow over. I kid. He's sort of in a age-up pod that will increase his age to whatever he desires, which I don't really understand why he chose to do that. Anyways, about 2 hours later, he gets out, he gets himself a boosie fade, they fix his eyes, and now he looks 24 years old. We then cut back to where we left off last episode. Doi and Karen are questioning the main gang about information on the terrorists, and Rito tells them that all they were told is that they're evil and they're called Izanami. Now, I'm not up to date on my Japanese folklore, but According to Google, Izanami is the god of death and creation. She and her brother created the islands of Japan, and she gave birth to like a bunch of deities. I guess it's symbolic of the terrorists. It's supposed to be like some symbolic symbol of the terrorist movement, that they will destroy the UW and create a new world from the ashes of their destruction. It's something like that. Anyways, Karen then recognizes Maria and shows her that her sister is okay. Apparently, Maria's sister is the gremlin. That may be some plot point at some point. They then have like a little moment where Doy's harem talks to Maria and the gremlin. She thanks them for taking care of her sister, and the sister acts like a gremlin. It's a very sweet moment. We then cut to Rito. It's 11 o'clock at night, and the air is still. That still air is interrupted by our homie Sue. They haven't talked in a while, so Rito wants to chat with her. In the shower. The secret chat. That's so stupid. This makes me kind of question, how effective is talking in the shower while the water is drowning out your voice? Pun intended. Is it like really that effective? Maybe I'll test that one day. After the water starts running, Rito tells her that he and the others are planning to book it on out of there, and he wants her to come with him. Unfortunately, due to her undying loyalty to the UW, she does not accept. She cannot risk her life doing that. Unless he fucks her. If he truly wants her to risk her life leaving the UW, he's got to do the sideways tango with her. He's got to do it. But Rito stands strong in his celibacy, and he says no. Sue then begins to break down crying, and we get a flashback to Sue's early memories. Her early life was all focused around Rito, eating with Rito, drinking with Rito, sleeping with Rito, all for Rito. It's all for you, Rito. Rito, 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 Rito. Then Rito goes to check in on her. Her eyes like two shining, deep pools. Her eyelashes like fields of snow. They close the distance, lips parted, and... This moment is then interrupted by fucking security. God damn it! Is it too much to ask for a wholesome kissing scene between our homeboy and homegirl? You just can't get it, can you? Hope walks in and says, "Get up, losers, you're coming with me." Hope explains that the nurse and bodyguard have also been captured and are coming with them to America. The terrorists in Japan are currently too dangerous and too active for Rito to stay here in Japan, so they'll have to be transporting him to America. But he'll be treated with the utmost respect. But as they go into the transportation to go to the airport...
Surprise, motherfucker!
The alcoholic and the useful bodyguard come to save the day, along with Hardass and Maria. The gang manages to escape through the refugee camps to a safe house. Rito reunites with his sister again, and then they all plan to stay there till after sunset and move out. After sunset, the gang makes it to their transport, an old ship that will take them to Taiwan, where they will meet up with Arissa. It's too risky for them to stay in Japan, so they gotta go international. They were gonna go international anyways. Sue and Hardass ain't going though. They gotta stay. Drive off the UW off their tracks. He gives them one last thanks and goodbye and heads off. Man, I was really hoping, like, during the goodbye scene with Sue that they were gonna kiss, but they hugged. Close enough. On the boat, Rito reflects on all that's happened since he's woken up from cryo. The good, the bad, the mischievous, all of these happening during his short time awake from cryo. During his reminiscing, he was handed a tablet where he has one last chat with number one. Yo, Rito, how's it going, brother? Oh, going smooth. Hey, sorry for not bringing you with me. We had to get out fast. Nah, man, it's fine. You got out just in the nick of time, too. They won't let me leave this place. Oh, fuck, ain't my hose. But it's fine. You got your own mission to follow. Yeah, I do. Hey, keep in touch, man. Try to contact me when you can. Will do. Man, what a savage. After 5 long years on the beautiful lands of Taiwan, our boy is finally united with Arissa. Finally united they will defeat the MK virus and the UW once and for all. And scene! Alright, let's move on to the final thoughts of this. It was all very well done. Also, this might be a stupid take, but I think this is one of the most realistic futures I've seen in a fictional show, especially in the beginning. With all the advancements in AI that's happened over the last 5 years or so, or actually probably more 6 years, it might be possible to achieve a utopia like this. Alright, now that I've said that, on to the pros and cons, starting with the pros. The story was very good, kept me on edge, good suspense. I also like the introduction of the different characters and their personalities, and also the personal arcs, like with Doi from Shy Boy to World Dominator. Also, they set up a lot of traps and plot points for the next season that I'm hoping they can explore, like why the men are immune to the MK virus, Karen's plan, what the UW is up to, all very exciting stuff. I especially like the side stories with like the other men. I do wish though that they dove into like number one's past a little more, like what his life was like before the pandemic, or rather before he was put into cryo. But otherwise, the side stories were very good, especially Doi's. There are also a bunch of like small details they added in the animations, like the scars on Doi's skin, or when he realized that he wasn't the last man on Earth, his face shifted back to pre-cryo Doi. He went from a brave, new-bodied man to a very scared boy. It was awesome. It was amazing. I'm so glad they put those details in. They also did pretty good character builds for these people. I'm definitely going to probably rewatch this anime in my pastime. Alright, now that I've glazed this properly, let's roast this fucking anime. The animation was lazy. Could have put a lot more work into it. There's a bunch of empty scenes where characters are talking and no one is moving or doing anything. It's just like a standstill. They also could have done better animation for the fight scenes. There's just a couple of jumps and maybe some taser fire. They could have definitely done a lot better animation for that. It could have been, the animation itself also could have been a bit more smoother. The art style could have been fuller. Ecchi scenes were alright. Plenty enough for me, but probably not for the layman. I also wish that, this is more exploring the plot of the anime, I kind of wish that they explored the global impact of the virus, like how certain countries collapsed, or how people rioted. I didn't want anything really specific for them to focus on. I just wanted them to describe in more detail how the MK virus messed up the whole world. This is also kind of a side story thing. I kind of wish they explored his musical motivation a bit more, like how he got into it. Is it something special? If not, they could have just dusted off a bit. It's oh, why do you play the piano? Oh, I just thought it sounds nice. It was oh, okay, and then just dust that off. They also could have gone into a bit more detail on the virus itself. Not what species the virus is or anything, but how the virus eliminates you. All the information we got on the virus is that it's airborne, it only affects men, and it kills you in 3 days once you contracted it. That's it. I want to know, how does it kill you? Do you lose your fluids rapidly? Does it shut down your organs? Does it make your balls explode? What does it do? Also, the fucking jump cuts. There are so many jump cuts to different things, from jump cuts here, jump cuts there, jump cuts fucking everywhere. I don't mind a smash cut or two or a couple of jump cuts in my anime, but they fucking spam this like there's no tomorrow. We jump from plot A to plot B, back to plot A, back to plot B, and then to plot B, C 0.2. It's so annoying. Also, when they usually do the jump cuts in this anime, in most animes, they give a context to where that person is walking or where they're going, what they're doing. Nope! They're just walking to nowhere. Although this could be For Doi, this could be an analogy for the bird in a cage. It doesn't matter where he walks or why, it's all meaningless. He's a man of infinite will, trapped in a finite space. If it's that, then good job. Also, this might be a little silly of me, but why aren't there 12 episodes? Why did it have to be 11? Couldn't it just be an even 12? Onto the characters. I don't believe some of the characters lived up to their full potentials. Like, the bodyguard, for instance. She took down a fucking bear, but she couldn't fight when they fell through the ceiling. No, like, sleeper code from the nurse to activate her almonds. They definitely could have done more with her. I did find her fear of ghosts very funny, though. I will give you that. Also, the nurse. The nurse could have done more nursey stuff. For example, we could have had, like, a scene of the nurse, like, changing Rito's bandages after the bear attack or something. They also could have done more with Arisa herself. She was kind of just, I think she was, like, supposed to be haunting the narrative, but, well, this is an English warning, but they didn't show her enough for that. Or at least give us enough detail about it. Like, we could have had a couple, like, scenes of her working with the zealots, maybe like an after-credit scenes of them planning something out, but, like, keep it vague. There was an anime that did this pretty well. I forgot the name of it. But essentially, like, after the credits rolled, they would play, like, a scene of, like, the antagonist planning something out. And it would keep it, like, mysterious, but also, like, keep you slightly on edge to want you to watch the next episode. Very well done. Alright, my final conclusion. Would I recommend this anime? Yes. Surprisingly, yes. The world building is good and has some good plots and side plots to follow, though don't have high hopes for the animation. There are also, like, a bunch of stuff that I didn't go into that you guys are gonna have to explore for yourselves, like the Three Magi or the relationship between Doi and his teacher. I am going to revisit this anime in the year 2040 or 2045, whichever year I remember first. So send me a reminder so I don't forget. Too bad this anime didn't get a second season, though. There isn't a second season, right?